Seeing the attendees are going up.
Should I hit record for the Spanish version immediately now, or just wait until the translation starts?
I think when the translation starts.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you can do it from now because you're going to be interpreting for yourself, Kristen.
Okay. Right. So this meeting is being recorded in both Spanish and English. Ruth Ann, you can start your recording. Welcome everybody. Gracias por asistir a la reunión pública virtual del proyecto de mejoras al transporte Uptown de la ciudad de Kingston. Thank you everybody for joining the City of Kingston's Uptown Transportation Improvements Project virtual public meeting. My name is Kristen Wilson. I'm the Director of Grants Management, and I co-manage this project with Ruth Ann Devitt-Frank, the city's grants manager. I will be moderating the meeting today. We will also have live interpretation of the meeting available in Spanish. And our translator, Adriana Perici, will explain in a moment how to utilize the interpretation feature on Zoom. Mi nombre es Kristen Wilson, Directora de Gestión de Fondos y coadministro este proyecto con Ruth Ann Devitt-Frank, gerente de fondos de la ciudad. Voy a moderar la reunión hoy. Podrán escuchar una traducción vivo en la reunión en español y la traductora Adriana Perici explicará cómo pueden utilizar la traducción en Zoom. Adriana.
Gracias, Kristen. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Adriana y Cristian y yo estamos muy emocionados de ser sus intérpretes hoy para crear este espacio multilingüe, que es un trabajo en grupo. Hi everybody, my name is Adriana and Cristian and I are really excited to be your interpreters today to create this multilingual space, which is done through teamwork. Les recordamos a las personas que van a hablar que respiren, hablen pausado porque vamos a estar interpretando y especialmente si están leyendo, cógenselo suave. We remind the people who are going to be presenting today to please breathe and speak with some pauses because we will be simultaneously interpreting, especially if you are reading. People tend to read a little quicker than they speak normally. Esto es un trabajo en grupo, así que si nos ven hacer la siguiente señal, significa por favor hable más lento. This is done through teamwork, so if you see us do this signal, it means please talk a little slower, slow down, or we might put it in the chat like so. Si nos ven hacer esta señal, significa una voz a la vez. If you see us make this signal, it means please one voice at a time, one mic. Les pedimos a las personas que están en la computadora que vayan al menú abajo de su pantalla de Zoom y le den clic al botón que dice interpretación y escoja su idioma preferido, español o inglés. We ask folks who are joining us here on Zoom to go to the bottom of menu of your screen on Zoom next to participants and chat and click the button that says interpretation. And please choose your preferred language, Spanish, English. And if you're fully bilingual, you could put off if you don't want to hear the interpreters. Si escoja español o inglés, si es completamente bilingüe, puede poner off para no oír a los intérpretes. We're really excited to be bringing language justice to this meeting today. Estamos muy emocionados de traer la justicia del lenguaje a esta reunión ahora. And we will be starting simultaneously interpreting now. Y empezaremos a interpretar simultáneamente ahora. Remember, please, to choose your language, English or Spanish at this moment. Recuerden, por favor, escoger su lenguaje español o inglés en este momento. Gracias.
Okay, thank you, Adriana. Before we begin our meeting today, I just want to go over a few meeting guidelines that will help us navigate this virtual space as efficiently and respectfully as possible. Members of the public, attendees, are muted for the duration of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer session. Throughout the presentation, you are able to put in questions at the bottom of your Zoom. There is a Q&A function. It's an icon that has, looks like two bubbles. And so in there, you can put questions about the presentation, and we will answer them during the question and answer session at the end. Also, during the question and answer session at the end, attendees may raise their hand, and to do that, you look at the bottom of the participants panel. So there's a participants panel or icon at the bottom of Zoom. Right now it says 42 participants. You click that, and then you scroll to the bottom of that panel, and there should be a little button that says raise hand. I hope that folks are able to find that. And so we will allow people to unmute during the question and answer session at the end of the meeting. Questions may be also entered in Spanish as well, and we will do the best that we can to answer them during the question and answer session. If anybody is having technical difficulty, you can write about that in the chat function, which is also down at the bottom. There's a little icon that says chat, and one city staff member who's focusing on technical troubleshooting may try to help you. In the event that we cannot help you with technical issues during this meeting, the meeting will be shared on YouTube in both Spanish and English after the meeting is completed. City staff members and presenters from the Hudson Valley Engineering Associates, our consultants, will control their own mute button, and good practice will be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise. And let's see here. This meeting is being recorded, and both video and written transcriptions will be made available, as I mentioned, on the YouTube site and on engagekingston.com at a later date. You can also submit written questions about the project after the meeting on engagekingston.com. And Summer will put the link to the specific page for this project in the chat. There are many unique engagement tools on the website to share your thoughts and input about the designs, and I will show people how to use them at the end of this meeting. Lastly, at today's meeting, we have an attendance, and if you could just wave if your video is on, I'd appreciate it. We have Mayor Steve Noble. We have Ruth Ann Devitt Frank, our grants manager. Summer Smith, the Director of Communications. Lou Bach from Hudson Valley Engineering Associates. Jack Gordon from Hudson Valley Engineering Associates. We have Susan Blickstein from our communications consultant firm. And we also have Sienna Yang from Susan G. Blickstein, LLC. So thank you for joining us in the city's first ever virtual public meeting that is interpreted live into Spanish at the same time. And also we're accepting feedback and questions during the meeting, and we appreciate your patience if we have any technical difficulties during the meeting as we learn how to use this environment. And again, I just encourage you all to engage about the design on engagekingston.com after the meeting. We would love for you to share the YouTube and also the web page with your friends and neighbors. We will be accepting comments through the end of the year, December 31st, and we would love to hear from as many voices as possible. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton to Mayor Steve Noble to share about the project.
Thank you, Kristen, and really excited to be able to be with everyone today, especially related to this Downtown Revitalization Initiative project. I'll just give a quick overview about what the Downtown Revitalization Initiative is and how this project came to fruition. So a few years ago, the City of Kingston applied in a competitive competition against communities across the Hudson Valley. And was awarded $10 million from New York State and Governor Cuomo to be able to enhance our Uptown district. That includes a variety of projects from this project that we're going to talk about today to Deed Stadium, to a historic renovation project on Frog Alley, to the project called the Kingstonian. All of these projects were designed to be able to create a vibrant, walkable business district and one that had a variety of different amenities from recreation to safe vehicle access in and out of the business district. And this project today that we're going to learn more about is really a critical project for the Uptown area. As I look at it, Uptown has a couple of gateways, which makes it unique. There are many ways to get in and out of our, historic district and, the community that we all call Uptown Kingston. But many of those were designed a very, very long time ago and didn't take into consideration the amount of traffic that we have today, as well as the amount of people on foot and on bicycle that utilize and live, work, and shop and dine in this area. And so with this multi-million-dollar project, we are looking to make improvements to those gateways on both Schwenk Drive and on Albany Avenue and Clinton Avenue. And so for me, these are two of the main gateways that people take to get into this district. And so as part of this process you'll hear about today, we have been working with a project advisory committee made up of residents and business owners and transportation folks who care deeply about the Uptown community and who want to see the best project happen. And I want to thank all of our project advisory committee members who have helped us get to where we are today. And to also thank the public for engaging with us on this. And not only during the Downtown Revitalization Initiative process, when we came up with these projects, because the public said there are issues at Albany Avenue and Clinton Ave, there are issues on Schwenk Drive, and there are things that we need to work together cooperatively to try to solve. This is really the beginning of the end of the design process. And so I really want to thank everyone and really just, again, we want to be able to get the best design out there for construction in the coming year ahead. And so now through the end of December is your chance to look at all of this work, give us feedback, and really help us make it the best design we can so that when we start the construction process, we know that this was something that was supported by the community. And so with that, I think that's my overview. And again, I really appreciate everyone being with us today and for continuing to help us support us moving these types of projects. And so, Kristen, I think I'm going to throw it back to you.
Great. Thank you. Now we'll introduce Lou Bach from Hudson Valley Engineering Associates, our engineering firm on this project. And he is going to share with you a little bit about the history of the design process that we've gone through so far, as well as what the proposed designs are. So Lou.
Yes, thank you, Kristen. So I'm going to share my screen here. It's going. Okay, good. All right. What was that, Kristen?
It looks like it's working.
Awesome, awesome, excellent, thank you. All right, so hello everyone, and I would like to also thank you for joining us today. and thank those of you who will be watching this recording sometime in the future. So we are very happy to be sharing this exciting projects in the city of Kingston. And as the mayor noted, the city won that DRI grant for $10 million. So congratulations to the city and to everybody that worked very hard on getting that grant. So today's presentation is going to be focused on one of the projects in the city's grant that represents about $2.3 million of the total investment. So these two projects are focused on improving motorized and non-motorized transportation through Kingston along Schwenk Drive and Clinton Avenue. So the agenda for this presentation, we had our introductions. So I'm going to run through a quick project overview, the evolution of the project, and then discuss each corridor individually. And then we'll go over next steps and open it up to questions. So Schwenk Drive, so here's an overview of Schwenk Drive. The project limits are from Washington Avenue to the Kingston Plaza intersection. Currently, Schwenk Drive is a 4-lane road with a landscape center median down the middle. At the western end is the signalized intersection with Washington Avenue, a very busy intersection. Recently, this signal has been updated to improve visibility, pedestrian safety, and to reduce vehicle delay. About halfway through is the intersection of Frog Alley. Frog Alley is stop controlled, so vehicles on Frog stop and wait to turn onto Schwenk Drive. And then finally at the eastern end is Fair Street and Kingston Plaza. This right now is a flashing red signal indicating an all-way stop. So now moving on to Clinton Avenue. There's an overview of Clinton Avenue. It extends from John Street to Albany Avenue. Right now it's a 2-lane undivided road with sidewalks on both sides. There are numerous driveways and access points along the road. So starting at John Street and Westbrook Lane, John Street is a 1-lane road that comes onto Clinton Avenue. Westbrook Lane accesses Kingston Plaza as a 2-lane road, and there's currently a 3-way stop at that intersection. Moving on to Main Street. Right now, Clinton Avenue, there's a stop sign on Clinton Avenue that allows vehicles turning left from Clinton onto Main Street. So right now, Clinton Avenue left onto Main has the right of way. And finally at Albany Avenue, it's a signalized intersection. The signal here is quite dated. It's what we call a fixed time signal, meaning it doesn't adjust for traffic conditions. It just has a timing mechanism that cues the lights. So in the beginning of the project, as the mayor noted also, we formed a project advisory committee, or a PAC. It consisted of county and city officials and the individuals listed here. So we started back in February with our first meeting. Unfortunately, that was our one and only in-person meeting where we could sit at a big table and discuss the project. So after February, once we were into the pandemic, we went virtual. So we had 5 meetings total. That first in person, we had 3 virtual meetings and 1 on-site meeting. Over the course of all these meetings, alternatives were evaluated, they were changed, they were discussed for both corridors, Schwenk and Clinton. And actually at one point we had 8 alternatives on Schwenk Drive alone to consider. Since then, they've been narrowed down to a preferred alternative, which we'll discuss very shortly. So almost immediately, our public outreach strategy had to be altered. So there were no in-person meetings. However, we were able to get to 1 public outreach in person, and that was the Kingston Women's Bike Fest. So at the Bike Fest, Susan and her team set up some boards and just talked with people, got their concerns, and you can see in the little picture there, people could put Post-its and sketch or write little notes down there. So it was very interesting to see, and not really surprising though, that not one of them felt safe, not one attendee felt safe riding their bike on Schwenk Drive. And they also said that they actually avoid it entirely. even though it is a connector to the rail trail system. So after that, we altered our public outreach to strictly digital. We circulated surveys online, city's website, from May 7th to June 15th. And we received a very large amount of responses, about 136 altogether for both corridors, which is great. And we almost felt like the digital outreach kind of allowed more people to have their voices heard. We understand some people aren't as comfortable talking in a public setting or in front of a large group. So we feel like this kind of got people's thoughts out there, and we could analyze everything and break down the data very well. So from the survey, we found that on Schwenk Drive, almost half of the respondents felt that they wouldn't ride a bike here just because of a fear of collision vehicles, and also the lack of developed bike routes. So what we also found in talking with not only the survey respondents but the PAC committee was that the Schwenk Drive and Frog Alley intersection was a big concern for people. We felt that, us just getting into the project initially felt that the Schwenk and Fair Street intersection was going to be an issue just because of the general confusion with a four-way stop with multi-lanes coming into it. Even driving through there, sometimes you don't really know who has the right of way. And there was also a good amount of witnessing a near miss or involved in a near miss. However, as we move to Clinton Avenue, those near misses and crashes are about 60% of the respondents have either been involved in a crash, witnessed a crash or a near miss, or was involved in a near miss, which really opened our eyes to how dangerous this corridor could be. So then moving on to pedestrians, about 70% said that they would feel safer if there were high visibility crosswalks and crossing signals, better warning signs, ADA compliant curb ramps, push buttons. And then half the respondents said they'd feel safe with an exclusive pedestrian phase where all cars are stopped at an intersection. So just in our observations as the designers, we noted that obviously Schwenk Drive has a lack of bicycle facilities. Two lanes with no shoulder, curbs on both sides. Bicycles aren't legally supposed to ride on the shoulder. So, by the letter of the law, they need to be in the lane with traffic, which I don't think that many people would want to do. We also noticed high vehicle speeds. The overall width of the roadway really allows cars to get up to speed and fly through this corridor. We witnessed aggressive driving with people weaving in and out of lanes trying to pass slower drivers. Along the sidewalk, those nice mature trees look very, very nice, provide great shade. However, over time, they tend to buckle the sidewalk, as you can see here. This creates liability issues for the city. It's considered not ADA compliant, which could raise issues. It does not provide access for people with mobility difficulties. Then the one thing that we found at Frog Alley, we knew that people were concerned about it. So we went out and we were standing there. We spent half hour out there just watching people. And we were amazed at how many people stop in the lane and make a U-turn. It's just something that we didn't, think was going on, but it's causing vehicles to stop in that through lane and wait for a gap in traffic to make a U-turn or turn left into the Spectrum building there. And we noted that along the corridor that there were 14 collisions over a 3-year period, which was higher than the Kingston Plaza intersection where there were 11. And as discussed earlier, just the general driver confusion here. There's long crosswalks for pedestrians, which, and like I said before, just driving through there, it's tough to know who has the right of way. So we came up with an initial alternative in the very beginning of the project. This was presented to the Project Advisory Committee. HVEA did an extensive traffic study in this area, actually through the whole corridor, not just this area. where we took traffic counts, pre-COVID numbers. We're lucky enough to get traffic data before everything went into lockdown. So when everything starts opening back up again, we have solid data to back up that Schwenk Drive can be brought down to one lane in each direction, and there's virtually no difference in vehicle delay compared to the existing layout. So we brought this with us to the project advisory committee, showing a shared use path, pulling in the curb. You can see this arrow right here, showing the approximate location of the existing curb, putting in a nice planting strip, allowing one lane of traffic, and on the other side of the road, some on-street parking, redoing the sidewalk, having a nice planting strip there. So there were concerns in the committee that there was going to be issues with reducing the travel lanes. And also there was a big issue with safety concerns at Frog Alley. So like I said before, we developed a lot of alternatives, 8 altogether. They ranged from a simple sidewalk replacement to allow bicycle and pedestrians, and also fix the ADA compliance issues. But we went as far as developing an alternative that showed 2 roundabouts on the corridor, one at Frog Alley and another at Kingston Plaza. So we really went the full gamut of alternatives here. So we had several meetings, 5 in total, and we had in-depth discussions about each alternative. The committee members were given a few weeks to consider each one, provide comments on each one. And in the end, we landed on a preferred alternative, which we're going to present here. So what this does is it leaves 2 lanes from Washington as you travel from Washington to Fair Street for as long as we can. In the roundabout, we'll have to neck down to 1 lane. This corridor does not justify the need for a 2-lane roundabout. What that roundabout is considered a modern urban mini roundabout. So that means that passenger cars can navigate the pavement surface as shown in black here. And larger vehicles, this center median is going to be what we call a traversable curb. So larger vehicles can safely navigate over the top of the median as they go through. The firehouse was a concern. Fire trucks making the left to get through here. Everything can be accommodated with this roundabout without a problem. Once you come out of the roundabout, we're going to open up back to 2 lanes, and the intersection at Fair Street and Kingston Plaza will be as it is now, with the exception of this left turn lane, which we found needed to be elongated. The signal at Fair Street will be replaced. It will be what we call a vehicle detection signal. So it will pick up on live traffic data and adjust as necessary. And then traveling from the plaza back to Washington, that will all be 1 lane with a shared use path as shown in blue. The green here is a buffered planting strip to keep vehicles as far as possible from the shared use path. We could have progressed through the roundabout, and then we also found that the turn lanes at the Washington Avenue intersection needed to be made longer as well. So those will be adjusted as our traffic data shows. Moving on to Clinton Avenue. So with this traffic analysis that we did, what really drew our attention, and hopefully it does to everyone here too, is the short distance that's traveled from John Street to Albany Avenue. And in the AM peak, it takes almost a minute. There's a minute of delay, 51 seconds to be exact, per vehicle. And in the PM peak, it jumps up to almost 290 seconds per vehicle to just go from John Street to Albany Avenue. So we listened to the survey results about the wanting to have safer pedestrian crossings, and then also the surprising statistic about the 60% of respondents involved or witnessing a crash or near miss. So we took an intersection by intersection approach on Clinton Avenue. So starting at John Street, our proposal is to put in a new traffic light here. So the traffic light will be for John and Westbrook. It'll work together because they're so close. It'll be the same signal. It'll be coordinated with the Albany Avenue traffic light. Install pedestrian signals, so push button stations for pedestrians to activate the signal and cross safely. Upgraded crosswalks, And then at all of the ramps, the curb ramps will be ADA compliant. Moving down to Main Street. So with the new light at John and Westbrook, coordinated with Albany Avenue, we're going to be creating traffic gaps. So that stop sign on Clinton Avenue can be removed, and there's enough room to put in a left turn lane on Clinton Avenue for vehicles to wait for those traffic gaps to turn onto Main Street. This will greatly improve traffic flow on Clinton Avenue. It'll alleviate some driver confusion that exists now. If you're not familiar with that intersection, it is confusing as to who has the right of way. We'll remove this crossing here, that's shown by my mouse pointer, and then just upgrade the crossings on Main and only have the one mid-block across Clinton with enhanced crosswalks, warning signs, new ADA ramps. And then moving to Albany Avenue. So this light is going to be upgraded. It'll be upgraded to have vehicle detection, so it adjusts with the actual traffic conditions going on. It'll be coordinated with the new traffic light on Westbrook and John. And we'll also improve the pedestrian accommodations. We're going to shorten up these crossings. These long diagonal crossings are way too long for people to comfortably cross. So we're going to shorten them up, kind of neck down the driveway into the apartment building here. It's currently signed as to no vehicles to exit out. So and there was concerns with people that are doing that against the traffic signage that's there. So we would try to neck this down a little bit to physically deter that, and also shorten the crossing here, and upgrade all the ramps to be ADA compliant. So with all these improvements, we took everything, we worked it through traffic models, we confirmed everything, and what we found was, I mean, shocking, but it's great. So we found that same vehicle traffic from John Street to Albany Avenue in the AM peak that was taking 51 seconds can be reduced down to about 32 seconds. And what was even more amazing is the PM peak is going from 288 seconds of delay down to 33. That's a substantial change. These improvements have shown in our models that they will achieve this level. Will reduce the level of delay to these numbers, which is it's just great for the whole corridor. It's going to improve pedestrian safety with the new crosswalks and the new signalized crossings. So we're very, very excited to present this today. So next steps. So the first bullet is what we're starting today. We're starting our public comment and feedback period. And as Kristen mentioned earlier, that will go on until the end of the year, December 31st. So please feel free to go onto the website and post your comments. A lot of the graphics presented here today are on the website. We encourage everybody to go on and let us know what you think. After that, we'll gather everything and begin draft design. That draft design will be circulated to the city and to also the Department of State, who is overseeing the DRI grant for the city. And once everything's good to go, we'll generate final contract documents and get it out to construction. The goal right now is to have this project under construction by summer of next year. So with that, that concludes my presentation, and I think we can open it up to questions if everybody is ready.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Can everyone hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So I'd like to open it up to questions. And I apologize if I'm a little slow. I'm still figuring this out. So if you have any questions, please put them into the question and answer tab down or icon down in the bottom of your Zoom, and we will answer them. So I do have one question from Dennis Doyle. It says, will the Albany Ave to Clinton Ave right turn continue to be permissive by time of day? Lou, are you able to answer that?
Not definitively. I believe that I think that it would be left the way it is. But that is definitely something for us to consider. Absolutely.
Okay, the next question is, how wide will the proposed sidewalk be on Schwenk Drive?
Yeah, so the sidewalk along the south side, or the CVS teachers union side, will be like a 5 to 6 foot sidewalk, just a standard sidewalk width. However, the shared use path on the Ulster Savings, Spectrum Rondo Savings side will be 12 foot wide to accommodate bicycles and pedestrians comfortably. So the on-street parking was nixed from Schwenk.
Lou, let me just say
Sorry.
the question so everybody hears it, and then you can
Sorry.
answer. So the question is it necessary to have on-street parking along Schwenk Drive?
So that was part of the initial alternative that we presented in discussions with the advisory committee. We removed that. So the preferred alternative does not have on-street parking on Schwenk.
The next question from A.R. Schultz is, you identified trees heaving the sidewalks as a problem. Do you plan to plant new trees along Schwenk Drive? If so, how many?
Yes, trees are being considered along Schwenk Drive, especially along the shared use path side. The trees that we would propose would be what they call urban or city street trees. We don't have a number of how many, but we would try to get as many as we can. We would make sure that the trees we choose don't get too big, that the trees we choose, the roots go down, not out. So that would be something that we consider in final design. But yes, we do plan to plant new trees along Schwenk Drive.
Okay, I'm just noticing that we have a note from our interpreter to please slow down when we're reading off the questions. I think that maybe applies to me, so I will slow down. The next question is from Rose Quinn. What type of education is being considered to reach out to the community and to drivers to alert them of the new traffic patterns and expectations? I think I could answer that. The answer, Rose, is that we are having internal conversations within the city right now about how to do education for a Broadway streetscape project. And I think it's something that we would like to make part of whenever we're introducing a new construction or new transportation project. We would like to do education beforehand. And in fact, we may be in touch with you about that, and Bike Friendly Kingston, and any other groups that work with pedestrians or motorists, so that we're able to get the word out about how the new infrastructure will function. I just also want to remind everybody that you can raise your hand if you'd like to. I am sort of managing both of those things here. I don't see any raised hands at this point in time, but if you are able to figure it out, you can raise your hand and I can allow you to speak. I will move on to the next question. This is from Don Tollerman. How will the connection be made from Schwenk Drive to the rail trail or Midtown Linear Park by CMRR, which is Catskill Mountain Railroad?
So I can answer that one. Unfortunately, with this project and the Midtown Linear Park project, there is that gap between these two that exists. The best route is through Kingston Plaza right now. There is private property issues with the railroad and with the Kingston Plaza with doing any substantial permanent type connection at this time. But for the, I guess we'll call it interim condition to get from the Midtown Linear Park to Schwenk Drive would be through the Kingston Plaza.
And just to add to that, the reason that that particular connection is not part of the DRI project is that what is part of the DRI project is within the public right-of-way, or there may be some small areas where we do need to acquire a right-of-way, but we wanted to focus this project within the right-of-way because right-of-way acquisition can be expensive and timely. So the next question is from Kevin Smith. And the question is, understanding that these are separate, discrete projects, but a key connector section of the Green Line, the Kingston Green Line, how is this project designed to interface with the Kingston Midtown Linear Park and the O&W Kingston Rail Trail project on the west side of Washington Avenue? So I think that Lou just answered the question about the Midtown Linear Park. Similarly, this project doesn't fully make the connection. It makes the connection along Schwenk Drive, but it does not connect right to the Midtown Linear Park or to the O&W Kingston Rail Trail project. Those are connections that would likely need to happen between the plot on the plaza's property. However, it does get pedestrians and bicyclists to the intersection of Washington Avenue and Schwenk Drive, and then they could make their way from there to the O&W Kingston Rail Trail project. It's not a perfect solution yet, but I think it's part of the solution. I don't know if Lou, if you had anything else to say about that.
Nope, that's exactly it. I'm just looking right now in the chat. Josh Hun, who's with Department of State, he also said, Kingston Plaza, there's a connection there. However, unfortunately, it's outside of the DRI boundary and the DRI scope. So.
Thank you, Josh. The next question is from John Grossbollen. I did not hear mention of bicycle facilities on Clinton Ave. Did I miss that? There are many transportation cyclists using Clinton.
You did not miss that. Bicycle facilities on Clinton, the Clinton Avenue corridor passes directly through the historic Stockade district. So any type of, we're really boxed in by the existing property limits that Clinton Avenue is on. It just squeezes by with traffic now. We are looking at all options to safely get bicycles through there. It's something that we're going to have to hash out, but as of right now, and I don't think in the future either, will there be like a dedicated bicycle facility on Clinton, just because of the physical constraints and that being in that historic Stockade district.
I also just want to note that the purpose of this project, or the scope of the project on Clinton, was focused on fixing the intersections, and it was not a full corridor study. So to look at bicycle lanes it's a very short distance between Albany Ave and Westbrook Lane, really. If we were to include bicycle facilities, I think it would need to be something that would be studied along the whole corridor of Clinton, not just for those, really only 2 blocks. I think another purpose of the scope of this project was to look at how the intersections and the lights will ultimately interact with the new roundabout that's going in. And if you're moving bicyclists through the roundabout, we really have to look at the corridor on Albany Avenue between Clinton and the roundabout. So the scope of this project did not cover the corridors. It really just focused on the intersections. So the next question is from Andrew Harris. And the question is, will the shared use path crossing the Spectrum entrance and exit have right-of-way? If so, will this be clearly marked for both cars entering and exiting?
Yes, the pedestrians would have the right-of-way, similar to any other pedestrian crossing at a driveway, and it will be clearly marked. And the advantage of putting that roundabout in that area is that vehicles will be going substantially slower. They're not going to be racing out of that driveway. There's going to be good sight lines for the people on the trail to the vehicles. So yes, we'll make sure that we consider that and have that clearly marked out for cars and pedestrians and bikes alike.
Okay, I'm going to move over. It looks like we have one attendee who has raised their hand, so I'm going to allow this attendee to speak. It's Clark Richter. So Clark, I'm going to hit the button and allow you to speak to ask a question.
Hello?
Hello, Clark.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I was just curious about the Westbrook Lane, but I was looking at a picture there. There's going to be 2 traffic lights on Clinton Avenue?
Yes. So, well, they're going to work, you mean like at that intersection for John and Westbrook?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they're going to be not 2 separate lights. It's going to be, a light facing John and a light facing Westbrook, and then on Clinton. But because of they're offset, right? The intersections aren't perfectly lined up. So it's going to be the same signal. It's not going to be 2 separate, where you have to wait at both. They're going to be activated green on Clinton together. They'll be the same signal, just with that offset.
All right.
We have to kind of.
How do I make a comment on the website suggesting that maybe Westbrook Lane should be one way going down? And that would eliminate, traffic coming out.
And that's certainly something for us in the city to consider.
Right. I mean, ever since they put the stop sign there, it seems like it slows traffic down.
Sure.
And it's like bumper to bumper.
Yes.
And crossing crossing, and generally speaking, because I don't have a car, is, it's a gamble. When you're crossing, even in the crosswalk.
Understood.
And it's not, there's no enforcement. I mean, only Saugerties have given people tickets for, walking improperly across the street, but not, I mean, it's really, and the lighting, I would say, it's like we're doing all this work with the corridors. Are we even updating the street? Because the signalization lights are out. I mean, I'm not sure how long they've been updated. Is that possible? Or is that going to be done in the future?
No, you're kind of cutting it out there, but are you talking the traffic signals are outdated?
I'm talking in general. I'm talking like the Broadway corridor corridor, except for Schwenk Drive and Plaza Road, that's the new traffic. But I think like Broadway corridor, are them lights going to be like updated? You know, to work with one another is like if you needed like to put them on all on flash on one switch.
Clark,
Marseille?
I think you're asking a question about the Broadway Streetscape project, and those lights are going to be coordinated, and there will be signal coordination on the Broadway Streetscape. So, Lou, there will be signal coordination among these lights as well, correct?
Yes. Between Albany Avenue and John Street, Westbrook, yes. Yep.
That would be because that's I think that's the only way it's really safer. Because like, well, I'm not sure. Main Street is not gonna. You're not gonna have a light there. You're just gonna be, you know, hoping for the best when you're crossing the road, because that tends to be an issue too.
We would like to think with the addition of the new signal that if someone is looking for that protected, safe crossing, that they would walk to either light, which is only a block away. If you're looking for that protected signalized crossing, we will be providing updated warning signs, alerting drivers. I understand that drivers don't always follow the rules, but we will be doing updated signage and freshening up the crosswalks to bring more attention to that.
Right. And my last thing.
So Clark, I'm going to answer some other questions. There's a few more in the question and answer box, so I'm going to get to those. And then I'm going to lower your hand. If you still have questions and we still have time closer to the end, I just want to mention we will end questions at 1:20, so I can show everybody how to use the Engage Kingston site. But if we have more time and you have more questions, please raise your hand again. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is, have you considered having the trail go up Westbrook to Clinton and down the hill to Schwenk?
So, I mean, I guess we sort of hit on this a little bit earlier with the purpose and the scope of the grant. That route outside of Clinton and down Westbrook Lane would be considered outside of those limits. I don't know, Kristen, if you have.
I would say that would be outside of the scope of this project. So we have limits of the project area, and it's outside of the scope for this particular project, and would add cost if we were. That is on city streets. It would add cost if we were to add that, but I do think that that's a possibility if it's not able to go through the plaza property to connect with Schwenk. I just want to say that this project is not going to solve all of the connection issues for the Kingston Green Line. And we still have more work to do to figure out how it will connect on either end to the O&W and the Midtown Linear Park. But I think it's part of the solution. Okay, the next question is the Uptown study recommended, I think this might be a comment, it's from Dennis Doyle. The Uptown study recommended reversing the street direction of John, Main, and Crown in combination with Fair and Wall. I think that's a comment. I don't know, Dennis, if you're on, I can allow you to talk. You can say more if you'd like. I'm going to allow you to talk.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I made the comment is that the Uptown study took a look at the directions of Fair, Main, and Crown, John, Main, and Crown, along with Fair and Wall, and suggested that the directions of John and Main could be reversed. The reason I bring it up is it may eliminate the need for one of the lights that you're looking at. And it does make some sense. It does make some sense in terms of the overall traffic pattern. If the city is considering reversing Fair and Wall, then the reversal of Main and John makes even more sense along with that reversal. And it would eliminate that light on Main Street and Clinton. It would, because that left turn wouldn't be needed.
Dennis, I think one of the challenges, and again, I mean, it has to do with the scope, the limits of the scope. We did apply for, in the DRI strategic plan, we had listed the reversal of the streets, John, Main, and Crown, and Fair and Wall in the strategic plan as a project that we desired to be funded. But the committee, or I believe the governor's committee, chose Schwenk Drive and the Clinton Ave intersections to focus on with the money that was available. So I think that the challenge with that is that the funding may not be available to do the reversal of the streets. I don't know if
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kristen. Yeah. I would add that the elimination of signals in the Uptown area would essentially require this reversal to literally be stop signs.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of cost here, and you may save a cost of a signal.
That's good. That's good input. We'll take that into consideration as we move forward with this. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, Dennis?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna put you back on mute, but just if you can figure out how to raise your hand, let me know if you want to, or you can put something in the chat if you want to. Actually, this is for everyone. If you can't figure out how to raise your hand and you want to speak, you can let me know in the chat or in the question and answer box, and we'll try and enable folks to speak. Okay, the next question is from an anonymous attendee. How does the Schwenk Drive proposal connect with the proposal for the Kingstonian? Does it consider the change in Fair Street traffic?
So yes, and I apologize for not mentioning that in my little spiel. The traffic analysis that we did on Schwenk assumed the worst case scenario for the corridor. So yes, we did have the traffic data from the Kingstonian project. That was all plugged into the model and analyzed. So yes, that's all in there.
Okay. The next question is from John Grossbollen. How is the transition from Schwenk going to be handled? How will eastbound cyclists on Hurley Ave go to get to the bi-directional bike lane on Schwenk Drive? I think I'll answer this, and Lou, please correct me. I think the answer to that is that bicyclists will need to well, first they have to navigate crossing the Washington Ave intersection. A strong bicyclist could choose to stay in the road if they would like to. A bicyclist that would rather use the bi-directional bike lane would dismount and cross over Schwenk Drive and then get into the bi-directional bike lane. Correct me if I'm...
Oh, you got it.
Okay. Those were all of the questions that were in the question and answer box at this time. If anybody else has questions that they would like to ask, looks like we have one hand raised. Clark, I'm going to allow you to speak again.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased with this, the way this is going. And I don't want to be, but my question is, the public transportation is a big thing for me, UCAT. And because of the traffic or whatever, being, busy sometimes. So how is this gonna, or is this gonna improve our public transportation as far as UCAT in the plaza? Which is, I would say, well, that's the hub. I mean, I would say, like, during the day, UCAT probably uses, I mean, that's I can't even imagine how many buses comes through Clinton Avenue and Westbrook Lane. So this is going to be like a part of the whole transition of improving.
Yes, the efficiency improvements of moving vehicles through these corridors will improve the functionality of UCAT. Kingston Plaza is, I believe, that's their central hub in the whole county, and from there they go, to every corner of Ulster County. So, these improvements on the corridors that are directly connected to Kingston Plaza, will definitely improve how the buses get around.
So shelters, is that a part of this project, or is that going to be UCAT, Ulster County Transportation's responsibility of putting like benches and signage and stuff like that out there?
Clark, I can answer that question. The bus shelters are, my understanding, are the responsibility of UCAT now that we have merged the bus systems. And I just also want to note that this project was not specifically to fix any issues that may be present with the UCAT system. But as Lou says, the improvement of traffic flow would improve naturally then improve the flow of the buses being able to get through the Fair and Schwenk Drive intersection and through any of the intersections, through the Clinton Ave intersections. But the scope of this project does not specifically address any other issues with the system. I do have another question in the Q&A box, so I'm going to go back to those. And Clark, if you have another question, or anybody else, feel free to raise your hand. So Clark, I'm going to mute you for now, and then let me know if you have another question.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is from Lee. And it says, the Schwenk Drive plan looks like a huge improvement. The Clinton Ave plan looks primarily focused around getting cars from Broadway to John and vice versa more quickly. Was there any consideration of the acceleration and dangerous driving along Clinton from John to Schwenk? There are residents and businesses with foot traffic there. Lou, if you...
So that, I believe, Kristen, from John to Schwenk is outside of the DRI plan.
Right.
So that one, I mean, so that corridor was outside of this project plan.
I think that goes back to that we didn't do a specific study of the entire Clinton Ave corridor, and that this really focused on solving problems with the intersections. it sounds like maybe we have some desire for a Clinton Ave corridor study sometime in the future. Okay, the next question is, doesn't New York State law require bicyclists to use bike lanes if present, thus precluding eastbound cyclists from using the road on Schwenk? I do not know the answer to that question.
I don't either. I don't know see, Susan has joined us. She probably knows.
Well, a multi-use trail is not a bike lane, to be specific. So if there were a bike lane on the side of the road in the cartway on Schwenk Drive, the law would basically require cyclists to use it unless they need to avoid something dangerous in the road, right? So it says cyclists should be as far to the right. But in this case, it's a multi-use trail, and I do not think it would preclude a cyclist from taking a lane, which is allowed in a road that doesn't have a designated facility. So you might see more experienced cyclists, they'll be in the travel lane, as you do in other parts of the city.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, Susan. And Rose had the same question. So we'll further investigate that and just make sure that our answers on that are correct. I just also want to mention that in addition to answering verbally through this meeting, any questions or, I guess frequently asked questions that have come up, we will answer on the website as well. Okay, it looks like Rose would like to speak. So I will allow Rose to talk.
Rose made a mistake. She doesn't have anything to say. I said everything in the chat. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to take up anyone's time.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm glad you figured out how to raise your hand. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. I'll give it just one more minute in case anybody else has questions or would like to raise their hand. And if we don't have any other questions, then I will move to showing people how to use the Engage Kingston website. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming in. So at this point, I'm going to share my screen and show people how to use the Engage Kingston website. Everybody can see that okay? Great. So here we are on the home page of engagekingston.com. And right now we have put the Uptown Transportation Improvements Project up at the top. And you can click in here. And I am currently not signed in. So when I'm not signed in, I can look at all of the information that's presented about the project. So you'll see we have who's listening. We have some photos of the project managers, and Susan is there. And this is where we will, somewhere on this site is where we will post this YouTube video of this meeting. We have our list of our project advisory committee members here, and any documents or survey results we share here over on the right side. some information about the DRI. Here's some information about the life cycle of the project, where we're at. As we mentioned, right now we're getting community feedback, and we plan to work on the final designs through the early winter and spring, and hopefully have bid documents out this coming summer. And over here, there are some tabs. So we have one tab that tells about the design process, shows you some of the ideas that we considered as we were going through the preliminary design and discussions with the project advisory committee. So you can view that history here. That's one tab. It's quite a long tab. And then we have here a tab for sharing your thoughts. And so this is where we have pictures of the proposed design for Schwenk Drive. And we also, this is where you would sign in and add your own comments. So down here, we have more pictures of Clinton Avenue, and there's another space, looks like Clark has figured it out, where you can sign in and add your ideas about Clinton Avenue. So I'm just going to walk through very quickly how to sign in. Before I do that, I just want to mention that you also can go up here and you can select one of, I think maybe, I don't know, 70 languages here. So if you'd like to read the website in Maltese, you can, but specifically we got this function so that you're able to change this whole website into Spanish. So just want to note that. So here we are. So you need to sign in to make comments on our projects. And you can have you can be anonymous. You can choose a name that somebody may not recognize, but we do ask, you must have an email address associated with making comments. So I'm going to sign in as, I have two sign-ins here. So this is my Citizen Kristen account. So if I wanted to, I can go down here and I can add my idea. So I'm just going to say something generic. Glad to see we are working on safety. So you can upload an image here. So if there's something in particular that you have noticed, or you want to take a picture and show us what you're describing, you can upload an image here, and then you add your idea. And if you see an idea, so once these ideas are added, you'll get to see these little boxes of everybody's idea, and you can, I can't do it because this is my own idea, but you can click the heart to say you like it, or you can also add a comment to somebody else's idea. So it's a space where we can foster more communication and more feedback, and also conversation between community members about feedback. It is a safe space, so it's a bit different than Facebook. It is moderated by the company that runs EngageKingston.com. They're called Bang the Table. And if you make, use derogatory language or target somebody or use bad words, your comment will be flagged. and likely removed from the site. And Bang the Table will ask you to reframe what you said in a more a better manner. So it won't be removed forever. The bad comments will be removed forever, but you will have the opportunity to reframe how you say a comment. So in that way, I hope that we can foster positive discussion and interaction between community members about our projects. So if you want to, this is where you make comments about Schwenk Drive, and if you want to make comments about Clinton Ave, you need to go down to the bottom of the Clinton Ave pictures and make your comments there. So just to be clear, some people might get confused and make comments about Schwenk Drive under Clinton Ave. We'll figure that out, but just so folks know. So we did have a survey earlier about this project, and that survey is closed. So really the space to provide your comments is under share your thoughts. And that's a little bit of a tutorial of how to use engagekingston.com. If anybody has questions about that, feel free to put them into the Q&A or the chat box, and I will try to answer them. I'm gonna stop my screen share at this point. Do not see any questions in the chat box or the Q&A. So at this time, I think that we have concluded our meeting. Is there anything else that anybody would like to say on either from the panelists or from the community? Okay, well, thank you. I very much appreciate everybody who attended today and were patient with some of the technical challenges. I'm really excited to be offering this in Spanish and English. And I just encourage people to share the information with your neighbors and friends. Comments on the project will be accepted until December 31st. With that, I think we will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.